Welcome back, guys. We've got all of these tunnel covers. We're getting into the greenhouse. I'm jumping back inside. It's freezing out here. Sitting about 37 degrees outside, and we're sitting at about 72 degrees in here with our fire. The sun just peaked out, so we've had very cloudy weather lately. A lot of things going on in the greenhouse. Got a cool video today. We're gonna run back down to the other end of the greenhouse. I just gotta check on my food here. Oh yeah, it's going. Got a little fire rolling. I like to get the tea going first, and then once the fire dies down, I put my food on. My kids are out there riding bikes somewhere. It's about 50-mile-an-hour winds out there and 37. They're bundled up, but man, it's chilly. I'd rather hang out in the greenhouse where it's nice and warm. Heading back down to the southern side here. Today we are checking on our indoor potato growth, and we are seeing growth. This is about a week and a half or so after we planted these potatoes. So we came by and we roughed up the bed about 2-3 days ago. I'm still seeing few little sprouts here and there. Try and zoom in on this little guy here. That is potato growth. So first of all, welcome back, and if you're new, welcome. We're out here today looking at these indoor potatoes. We've got growth, and I wanted to talk about a few things. We're going to build a whole new DIY bed, plant more potatoes, and these are 2-month potatoes. I want to talk about the sandbags, so there's a whole lot to cover in this video today, so really appreciate everybody showing up. And if you're new and all of this sounds interesting to you, this is pretty much all we do on this channel, and I've got a lot of interesting stuff to cover. I got a couple pumps, really expensive pumps and a cheaper one to run some solar heating and heating experiments in this tank over here. So lots and lots of experiments and development into the greenhouse going into the colder months here. So about a week and a half ago, we planted these potatoes in here, raised the level of soil, and then we came by about 3 days ago and I just brushed the whole top, maybe 1 inch. I planted these potatoes 2 inches in the soil. So I just roughed all this up with my fingers because we had little tiny growths and stuff. I was trying to show all those, just little sprouts, nothing to be worried about right now. It could develop into nutrient robbing crops that we don't want competing with our potatoes. As we kind of disturbed and eliminated the top 1 inch of soil and all the growth in it, we were able to intercrop kind of like a grid pattern. We could see where we had our potatoes in rows and in a checkerboard pattern. So we threw some seeds from bunching onions because onions are a great intercropper. We've got all of our Egyptian walking onions doing lovely back here behind me. Planted those at the same time here, so they're doing very well. Good transplant, very happy about that. All of these potatoes are starting to sprout. I can see where some of them are. I see growth coming up on all of them. So that's a big win. As we eliminated, we intercropped, and we're doing pest protection, and we'll have a harvest. So we've got onions, potatoes, and when I did that, I kind of did it in rows. The potatoes are going to kind of hill up. Obviously, we're going to have to hill these potatoes, so all of those intercropped onions might get a little covered up and a little backfilled and buried, but I'm not too worried about that. If I don't get a harvest from the onions, that's not a huge deal. I can transplant more onions into this bed. I have a ton of chives or Egyptian walking onions or other types of white onion and bulbing onions I can plant in here also. So as the potatoes do grow, they're going to grow up and they're going to grow out from the surface they were planted onto. That is why we hill on top of potatoes, so they're able to expand properly. So we're going to end up covering all of this, and hopefully we can get all of those onions to sprout before we cover, so we can drop handfuls of compost or soil on top of the potatoes specifically. As I'm seeing success with this experiment, and I'm seeing success and great properties out of these sandbags, I also want to state that this is a 2-month to 3-month bed, so we're not keeping these in place too long. I don't want to keep these in contact with the soil for over 6 months, you know. I don't want to build a permanent anything out of this other than using it for the rim of the pond down there as a structure source. I do not want to have this in contact. I don't want them to break up over time. They are UV resistant and very durable, so I'm not concerned as we're going to be moving these around as we harvest all these potatoes. That's why I did this. So once this potato bed fills up with all the heaping amount of potatoes potatoes, hopefully, and soil and some onions, we'll be able to just pull all these sacks out and we can just break the soil off and have a very easy harvest, hopefully, of potatoes and the onions. We should be harvesting these at the end of November, beginning of December, and the bed we'll plant today is going to be a mid-December to a Christmas potato harvest. So let's build a DIY raised bed just like this, fill it and plant it, and I want to talk about everything involved. I gotta run down and check on my food before we start building this bed here, and we've got our tank refilled with clean water. It was rainwater and well water, so it doesn't look the cleanest, but it is clean. And we've got our little solar panel here. We're going to be moving water, doing heating experiments with that little window box we see down here. And we've got ourselves these pumps here like I was showing. We've got some nice water moving pumps, and we got ourselves a whole bunch of wire. We are going to run ourselves electricity into the corner, so I'll have at least 2 outlets over here. We're gonna run it from our garage over here. We're just gonna dig it up. We've got our new chicken coop, the base to it, all types of stuff going on. And there's a lot of energy and protein packed into that food. That is why we eat our chicken eggs. We treat our chickens very well, so they produce eggs for us, and we do not really feel bad about using them for food. That is why we got them. Got all this bed transferred up, transplanted. We're gonna cover all this in a separate video. Just wanted to show how it's looking here, and we're getting our geothermal figured out, and we figured out we've got water in there and we know why, so I'm going to explain to everybody in a separate video. So lots of videos coming down the pipe here, and I'm going to set this camera up and we're going to build ourselves a DIY sandbag potato bed. That is some finely sifted soil, compost, and recycled potting soil. I can't stress the importance of these sifters enough. These sifters really work. We've got maybe a dozen of them in various forms, shapes and sizes, and different size holes, so different grading on them basically. So building yourself a few or buying some from a guy like me at your local farmer's market is really going to benefit you in the long run, because it really makes the process easier of sifting and cleaning soils and recycling a lot of soils. All right, sifter aside here, we've got our potatoes here. So we've got lots of potatoes still with spuds. These are our own 60-day potatoes. They've got eyes on them all, so we're doing really well with those. They haven't started to rot or anything. We've just kept them in a cool, dry, dark place. The other ones have started producing vegetative growth, so we're doing well. And I want to talk about the next thing we're going to do here. So I'm going to plant these. These are Egyptian walking onions. I planted them right next to our other potatoes, but these are going to be intercropped with our potatoes. So I've got maybe 20 or 30 of them here I'll be able to break off, and they're all from clusters that have fallen over. These are just propagations that we're taking and using in the greenhouse. So first thing I'm going to do, I didn't do this on the last set and they didn't really wilt back on me, but I like to take it like maybe halfway, 3/4 of the way up. You can cut this, but I really don't mind. It's not going to damage the plant. They're going to regrow all the same. I'll just rip it in half. So all of these are going to the compost bin, and then all these roots are going to get washed off nice and thoroughly, and then we're going to split them up. We're going to put these in rows into the bed here, and we're going to row them up high so we can put our potatoes low, so we can kind of head off the issue we're running into with our other raised bed. So I picked up this free sink. I've got a jug of water I'll always bring out here, and we've been using this as a sink. We can wash our hands up and the water runs into a little bucket underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse these up, and this is how we've been doing this. Got a nice drain plug in here. I'm not talking too loud for that microphone. So I'm going to show just how well water allows these to come apart. They are super rooted together because they've gone all summer like this. So there will be a little tearing, but they do separate pretty darn well. And then you'll have to split. And then we've divided them out. And we've got 2 whole plants that we're going to have a whole new cluster of plants from. So super propagators. Lots and lots to go here. A little bit of super wet compost. It's been raining like crazy. Under that is all our recycled sifted soil. Pest protection is just as important as sifted soil, good quality soil, and raising the bed, doing a raised bed. All of those three things are very important to getting this to be successful. So I wanted to incorporate the onions already. The Egyptian walking onions really are bountiful, so they are hardy, and I believe that they will survive the hilling of these potatoes that are in between them. I'll be able to hill them up and keep at least the shoots of the onions up out of the ground. One little tip with your onions for pest protection is if you come by, you can just break one of the onions or kind of pinch it to make that sulfur smell, and then it really is potent. And it works even better as pest protection. So every time I'm out here, I'll kind of touch my onions or just break one or kind of smell one, grind it up, and it keeps everything out of the greenhouse. It works very well. Most crucial tool that I used today was my sifter and all of my sifters. And getting all this soil sifted was very important, so everything is nice and flush and the water could move and kind of pack all this together, because we're going to build upon it. Potatoes are going to grow up here. So we recycled a ton of soil, we cleaned up a bunch of soil, we found some glass, some nails, some plastic, so we got all of that crap out of our soil so we don't cut our hands or have anything polluting our soil and food. Now this bed's placement is on the opposite side of where all the other tunnels are going to be, and it's the darker side, so this is kind of an experiment in itself. We have our bed behind me over here, and that is on the other side of the greenhouse, which would be the eastern side or the southeastern side. This is kind of at an angle to the north, south, east, and west. So this bed placement, that bed placement, and this experiment is hopefully going to give me some ideas of what I can do and how I can be more productive throughout the colder months, and going into the colder months, how to prepare for it better. So we are going to run some type of ventilation through our tunnels inside the greenhouse, whether it's heat blowing through or whether it's just passive air moving through and kind of ventilating the little tunnels, because we got kind of stagnated last winter and we found that it was kind of stagnating our growth also. The better airflow you got, the better off you're going to be with all of your planting and all of the plants through the winter time when it's very cold out. So I'd really like to thank everybody for watching. And I'd like to point out that down on this end we use some of our concrete bricks. I'm going to try and replace that. That's just a placeholder. I didn't want to use sandbags on that side because the sun will be hitting it from that side, or mostly in the afternoon it'll be hitting it over there. So hopefully we can get some type of clay or some of our bricks that will paint with our egg paint and change the opacity and the thermal mass storage on them, so we can heat up that side of the bed. And we're going to try and keep the other bed of potatoes down on the other side over there with our water tank, and the thermal mass storage we're going to try and provide with that 130-gallon tank. So once again, I'd like to thank everybody for watching this video. I kind of took a break in the middle there and ate my breakfast here, so it was kind of split up. There was a lot to cover, and I'm always kind of just showing little bits to what's coming. So we've got a lot of stuff coming down the pipe here, all of our heating experiments. In this methane tank, I've been adding a lot of little slurry stuff to it, and I haven't really produced a video on that, and that's kind of my fault because we haven't had a whole lot of inputs. So the inputs have been very small and they're all liquid, and we just kind of emulsify everything or put it in a 5-gallon bucket to kind of rot it before we'll put it in there. And it's up to the point where we filled enough water and material in it to where we've plugged all of our pipes coming in, our inlet pipe and our drain pipe. So we are going to start creating methane here soon, hopefully. I was really excited to see some growth out of my potato bed here. So very cool stuff. Got another one going, and I'd like to reiterate that it is a temporary bed with these. I don't want to build any type of permanent structure that I'm going to be growing into, because if it's wet and damp, it may break down a lot faster within a couple years or something like that. You might have pieces of plastic in your soil. So I'm going to experiment with this. I'll move them. These are going to be in here for 2-3 months, and then we'll take them out and see what they look like. I got a ton of work to do in the greenhouse here. We're trying to get ready for winter. I've got all my tunnels to put up and all the hoops to put in, so that's a ton of work in itself. So there's another video coming down the pipe, and it's basically been rainy and cloudy for the last week. You can see what it looks like outside. It's almost been like a sleet. It's been very cold, and chilly at nighttime, so I haven't really had a chance to put my solar panel up. I want to do that for everybody and provide the video where I set all of it up and build the whole solar system and hook it up for the solar heating box and experiments we got coming. So before this video gets too long, I will let everybody go, and I want to thank you guys for watching.